So you guys be sitting here watching Gears Esports for the very first time and wondering how do we get into it? Who better to guide you through it then? Well, not me, but the rest of these guys who are in here with me, I know at least. Toby, you were the first person I spoke to from Gears Esports in the region, so I feel as if you should surely take this one on.
How to get into Gears Esports, right? Well, first of all, Operation 4, amazing ranking system. That is a great first taste as to competitive Gears. I think the best advice you can give regarding that is to focus on the esports modes, right? If you're planning on going to an event in person, when we get around to that once more, you know, if you really fancy 2v2 Nashers and you think you're good at that, focus on that, you know, and really enjoy that. Free for all, likewise. But your bread and butter modes, if you really want to take it to the next level and try and go as far as you can in the Gears Esports world, focus on escalation, and our predictions is perhaps we'll be seeing Gridiron at some point. Focus on that as well. I think we're going to see that. That's my prediction in esports, and they're very complex modes at times, escalation especially. So you do need to practice those rather than say your TDM, Guardian modes, etc. Also, alongside your ranked experience, check out UMG. Play some singles matches. That's one of the biggest points of advice that I give to new players who have perhaps had a lot of ranked experience but not much private competitive experience amongst the competitive veteran players, is to focus on singles matches, 1v1s, because then you have to focus on your decision making so much more than you would otherwise believe when you're playing ranked, for example, right? Close the comms off for a moment, think about your own decision making processes, and if you find that you're playing against a very smart, very experienced player, you'll realize very quickly how important decision making is, not just the raw skill that Gears of War is known for. So yeah, focus on playing as much ranked as you can, and also consider giving UMG 1v1s a go too.
The godfather of Gears, if you like guy players, it would be rude not to ask you next. Why should somebody get involved in Gears Esports? Why should somebody who's sitting there right now watching, who's a casual player, think to themselves, right, let's bring it to the next level? Why would you get involved?
Man, you know what? You're going to get involved into Gears Esports because you love the game. You're passionate about it and the franchise, because there's nothing like Gears out there to be played. And it's a reason why it has such a passionate community that has stuck with the game for about 13 years now. Now, when it comes down to the path to pro out there, I agree with what Toby says. Get on UMG website, play some singles out there, because it's a different experience than playing out there in ranked games, because one is because friendly fire off. That's a big one, even though you're not going to really have to worry about that in singles. But when you're playing the 2v2s, 3v3s, 5v5s, friendly fire changes some of the moves in which you make and the decisions in which you make as well. So get into that environment, see if you like it, see if that fire is going to be lit. And if it does, then from there, maybe you find a teammate from one of those 1v1 matches that you was playing, or the 2v2 matches, because as you want to get into the esport, that's the next big thing in which you have to worry about. Finding a squad, finding a unit who is on the same page as you, who want to achieve the same goals as you, to be the best, to hoist that trophy. And I'm gonna tell you one thing, that shit is hard, okay? We got some savages at the top. I've competed against a few of them, and it's a reason why they sit up there. So you're gonna have to find some good soldiers along the way. So make some friends when you're playing those 1v1s and those 2v2s. The next thing you know, when you get 5 people out there and you feel like you can do it, hey, hop on that on a big esports site, go to gears.gg or playgears.com, wherever it may be, and go there and start competing in these 5v5 tournaments, okay? Get out there and get that experience and start working your way up the ladder. But hey man, I tell you, when you find a good squad and some people who you want to shoot next to, that experience, building that camaraderie, just trying to get better day in and day out, that's such a beautiful foundation to create some great friendships and have some dope ass experiences.
I feel as if there won't be many more people who are as passionate, I should say, than Colin about this, potentially anyway. I'm curious to see if you can bring the energy, because sometimes, you know, I feel as if it's lacking, Colin. So if you're going to bring it now.
Sometimes it is lacking, but I'm going to start low-key and I'm going to work my way up. I always like to start at the base of the mountain and work my way to the peak, just like you always should, which is kind of how you have to get through the treachery that is Gears of War esports. And the very first thing, when you're at the base of the mountain, you're setting up base camp, number one advice I give every single human that ever asks me how you get a part of Gears Esports or get onto a team: lose the friggin' ego. If you have never hoisted a trophy, if you have never stood atop the mountain, you do not deserve an ego. You don't get one. You don't get to talk like you're better than anybody else because you have not accomplished the highest possible point of playing Gears. You are not too good to hear criticism. You are not too good to have to listen to somebody else when you make a bonehead play and somebody tries to point it out. Footage is your friend. Record your scrims. Record your playing time. Make sure you always are willing to listen to your teammates, listen to some criticism, and even if you got to send in that footage to somebody else, even if you got to hire a coach throughout the course of this game, because we know we've had some coaches that have put out there possible personal lessons like Coach Crazy Train, Coach Ashes. They've gone out and done lessons for people. I've taken lessons on the game before because I, to this day, am not happy with where I am as a player. So lose your ego. It's number one. As you progress up the mountain and maybe you make some friends, they see that you're humble. They see that you're willing to listen. They know you got some raw gun skill. Next thing you got to do is learn to identify, then rectify rather than justify. If you identify your problems and you rectify those problems, you no longer have a reason to have to justify those problems. Simply identify where you're wrong, rectify what you've misstepped, and then move forward. Just put it in the past and say, I'm never going to do it again. I'll make sure that I have that Lancer out and shooting for you, buddy. I'll make sure that when you're in that 1v2, I move up and I fight that 2v2 with you, and I'm not just trying to be back and maybe snub somebody when I need to have my Nashor next to you in case you need that revive. Then you got that accountability. You're moving up in the world. People will then take note of that. Maybe that team progresses to a point where some higher ranking team sees you and says, we've got to go ahead. We've got to pick you from the crop. You're that next up and comer. That's what Echo Fox has done with Powers. That's what Kenny has done in the past with some of his teams where he's handpicked players to come up and be on that come up. That's what all of Nimbus did, where Nimbus was one of our best teams in Gears 4, and now they're on Hive, and Toady got picked out of that batch. You can see other people trying to pick guys like TJ, but he's stuck with his team. That's fine. You can stick together and you can progress together. But if somebody comes along with a golden opportunity and opens the door, if it's knocking, don't be afraid to answer it. Continue to lose your ego, continue to have the accountability, move to those higher level teams, and continue to progress forward, get your name out there. We've covered to play singles, we've covered to play the weekly tournaments, but the number one thing you got to do is lose your ego, learn to identify, rectify, stop justifying, and move forward with accountability, because the only way you progress as a person and a player is by fixing the mistakes of your past and making your future as bright as the future is Gears Esports, because we are only going up. As we progress and make the game better, we reach to a bigger audience. We will only go up, just like you'll only go up, and this is a ride we all have to take together. Stop hating on everything you see in the world and start seeing some stuff with some love and treating it with the passion and the care it deserves, just like you deserve to treat yourself with a little passion, a little care, and that's why you're going to be accountable and make sure you stop making those mistakes. But that's just me. I'm just a talking head.
Oh man, but you a beautiful talking head at that. And that's what it's all about, folks. The journey from where you are now to hoisting that trophy, point A to point B, what's in between, man, that's the secret sauce of life. That's the stuff I live for. What's in between there, man. I tell you, going from the player you are now in Gears to being a champion, ask the ones who hoisted that trophy, and they'll tell you that that's the good stuff. All right.
Colin and Guy, you both have me running. I'm going for a run in a second at this point. This is just life motivation than anything else. Bring me back down to earth a little bit.
I can bring you back down to earth a little bit. I think these guys have
hit us with a chalkboard, didn't he?
Yeah.
Come on, baby.
No chalkboards, no analytics, no stats from me. I want to talk a little bit more holistically about why you should get involved in Gears, and this is from my personal experience. Being involved with this game for over a decade now, I can honestly say it's changed my life in ways that I would never have imagined. I've met some of my best friends through this game. I've been to some of the best places I've ever seen through this game, and all of that really for me started with one crucial thing. And that was just having a group of buddies that I played with, on a daily basis, on a couple of day basis, and just enjoying the game. And that's really what I want to kind of dive down on here, is you can have all the skill in the world, you can have all the practice time in the world, but if you've got to look at Gears and you're not enjoying what you're doing, you need to find out why that is, and you need to be able to approach the game in a way that you can sit there day after day after day. And for a lot of the kind of, I guess, more casual of you watching, you'll already have that. You'll be the passionate ones in this community. You will be the kind of next generation of esports players. Just, you know, you're the uncut diamonds, I guess, in the rough. And following the steps that the other guys have kind of talked about, that's absolutely how you get involved. And if you can maintain that positive kind of energy towards the game, and if you can maintain the, you know, the willingness to win and the willingness to improve, like Colin said, it's absolutely, you know, anyone's game, this game. The guys that have, you know, at the top of the temple right now, these guys have been doing it for years. They put their heart and soul into this game. But at the end of the day, they've all got a passion for it, and they've got a passion for Gears, and they've got a passion for winning. And if you've got both of those two things to begin with, you're already like 3 feet ahead of everyone else.
And man, and you know what, Frew? Oh my God, you hit the nail on the head there. And I just want to say that, as you said, that hey, if you need to just, you know, take a break there, you know, if you're not enjoying it for some reason, figure out why. Okay, the guys at the top have a great balance between the game and life, and with that balance, help them get to that point. And make sure you know, go back and reevaluate your balance. Sometimes when we get more wisdom, we got to go back to it and say, hey, you know what, is my hours balanced? Do I need to go outside a little bit more and get some sunshine? Okay, but at the end of the day, make sure that you take care of you so you can be the best Gears of War player that you can be.